Hey everybody, and welcome to a disarming wild ride with Steve-O. We've got Patrick Bet-David, who had no clue what he was in for. He had no idea that he was going to have as much fun as he did, and he was not even ready for the special guest co-host that we had in store for him. Man, just a lot of fun, and we definitely bashed Bill Maher a little bit too. I don't even feel bad about that in the slightest. And I really, really enjoyed this one. So let's go ahead and get into it.
What a freaking podcast. Like they asked me, how was that? I'm like, dude, it's exactly what you don't think it's going to be. I was not expecting this. I had a freaking blast with you guys. This is sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of the universe, I bring to you Patrick Bet-David.
My man.
Yeah, dude.
How you doing?
I'm great, man.
It's crazy. I'm watching you, and all I'm thinking about is the crazy shit you've done.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it's fish. Did you do the tongue thing? Was that really like
the fish hook thing?
The fish hook thing, and then blood in the like. Some of the stuff you've done is absolutely wild.
Well, thank you. I also would like to formally introduce you to Scott Randolph.
Scott, how are you?
What's going on?
Good to meet you.
And Vinny is over here.
Great name. We have a Vinny as well.
But in Vinny's seat today, a special guest co-host, my dad.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Yes,
Dad,
so how's
speak
this
into the
work?
mic, Dad.
Yeah, we brought him on.
So, is it turned on?
It's on.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not a big PR kind of guy, but Steve's hired me as his business manager.
So let me ask you, like, how much of the genetics and the DNA is you?
I'm not a scientist. I can't analyze
I can answer that. Every person on my mom's side of the family, all the way through as far as we can even find evidence, there's like deviance, addiction, gambling.
Mom's
like,
side.
Mom's side.
Because he looks like like a nice CEO, CFO, executive.
Yeah, big time. On my dad's side of the family, it's all academics.
Okay. I get that feel.
Senators.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you say theologian?
Yeah. And so we brought him on because we told him about your business accolades. And his business accolades are pretty up there with you.
It. Fantastic.
I grew up in 5 different countries.
Okay.
Born in England, moved to Brazil when I was 6 months old because my dad became the president of Pepsi Cola in all of Brazil. Moved to Venezuela when I was 2 years old because Dad got promoted to Pepsi Cola throughout Central America.
Is this the good Venezuela days? Was it still crazy days?
1977, I did not like Venezuela, but it was far less bad than it has since become.
Got it. 1977. So I'm born 78. So when you went to Venezuela, you were how old?
2.
2 years old. Okay.
I was born in 74.
So we're 4 years apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm following. So Brazil 6 months, Venezuela 4.
I was 2. Moved to Connecticut when I was 4.
Okay.
By this point, I had spoken 3 languages. And by the time I was 5, I forgot 2 of them. I spoke Portuguese and Spanish.
Well, you hadn't totally, because at 12 he was at summer camp in New Hampshire, and we went to visit. He had a counselor in the cabin from Colombia, and we were told that in the middle of the night, Steve, in his sleep, was talking fluent Portuguese.
Yeah, so it's in there.
Subconscious recall. Subconscious recall. The next morning, he didn't know a word of it, didn't even remember it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, Dad worked for Pepsi when I lived in Darien at 4 years old. We moved to Miami when I was 6 years old. Dad started working for R.J. Reynolds Tobacco.
Okay.
And then Dad was part of at the time, the biggest corporate merger / takeover in history.
That was when, after Nabisco had merged, and it was taken over in the LBO by KKR.
Yeah, so Dad had an aberrationally good year in the KKR takeover when R.J. Reynolds Tobacco became RJR Nabisco.
Yes.
And
then subsequently
we moved to
private.
England.
Yeah.
Moved to England when I was 9. Moved to Canada when I was 12.
Mom, husband and wife, you guys are still together.
No.
At that point.
So I'm trying to see, when does that happen?
Actually, she was fairly enthusiastic about the moves.
Okay.
But the addiction gene got her,
Okay.
and I was traveling a lot, and the alcohol brought her down.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, you guys were together until I was 17 years old.
Yes.
So you made it through Canada.
Yep.
And then when I was 13, we moved back to England.
Holy shit! Like this is all like.
Yeah.
By 13, you've lived in all these places.
Yeah, I grew up in 5 different countries.
How was that for you?
I loved it because I had this personality. It was just like, rah, 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 you know, like I was socially awkward and alienated my peers. And so every time my family told me that we were going to move again, I thought, oh, cool, I get a new, fresh start. This time I'm going to be cool. This time I'm going to get it right. But unfortunately, everywhere they brought me, there I was.
Yeah.
Where was the first time you met someone that you said, this guy's also weird like me, or girl? Who was that first person?
I'm not exactly
Simonetti.
sure about that. Yeah.
You know what I'm asking, right? Where you're kind of like, oh shit, okay. Because I have 4 kids, and one of my kids is a little bit like you. And so wherever he goes, I know he has to find somebody that is like him.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes it takes a minute to find it, but when
Right.
he does, it's just a whole different world for him.
Yeah. I don't know how I can answer that question, but I think I've had, historically in my life, I've had few friends but close friends.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then
Respect.
to this day, I don't have a large circle.
When is your birthday? What month are you?
June 13th.
You're June 13th, and when are you?
March 29th.
You're March, so you're in areas. You're very like systematic, organized, and
Oversimplification, because you got to deal with the ascendants and the charts. The stuff you read in the newspaper is pretty superficial.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand you. My dad's also, he's April 10th,
Okay.
so he's kind of wired like you.
Amazing thing. One of the very early when Steve was 10 years old, one of his classmates invited him to do a sleepover. Kid that's become a lifelong friend. Family was from the Sudan, and I'm not sure what the father did, but they lived in a great big house in North London. And when I picked up Steve the next day, Steve said to me, "Dad, it was really cool. Guys wandering around in sheets, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, Abdullah ordered pizza from the kitchen."
And this is in London.
Yes.
Yeah. This is my
Very
friend,
cool.
my friend Abdullah. We've never lost touch since we were
Till today.
9 years
Is
old.
he still
yeah.
in London, or?
We both graduated from the American School in London.
Okay.
He went to Brown University, graduated with a 4.0, went on to Cornell Medical School, and then became a pediatric surgeon at the Mayo Clinic, where he invented procedures for operating on unborn babies within the womb, correcting problems before the babies were born.
That is wild.
Yeah. And our paths were.
Where's he live now? Where is he at?
He's in Oman. No, he moved to back
he's
here.
in the States. I forget where he settled on. I want to say maybe he's in Oklahoma.
But you
now.
guys are close.
Yeah, I mean, but we not all the time, but we never lose touch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So traveling this much, I thought I traveled a lot. We traveled a lot, right? But it was for different reasons. We're trying to escape a war and being bombed on. Yeah, so I lived in Iran 10 years. We lived in Germany at a refugee camp for 2 years. Then we came here. And then I
Here
lived
being-
in LA. I lived in LA, Glendale, California to
Yeah.
be specific. I went to Glendale High School. Fun fact, John Wayne went to Glendale High School,
Wow.
California. Respect, right? We
Yeah.
got to put it out there. The Nitros.
I grew up in Pasadena, California.
Did you really?
Uh-huh.
So, I used to
Yeah.
always go to Old Pasadena, Colorado, and
Yeah, I worked at Twin Palms.
okay.
If you know where that is.
Yeah, I know that whole area. I
Yeah.
mean, we used to, Pasadena was, the rich people lived in Pasadena,
Yeah.
right? There's a community, 10, 20, $30 million homes. But no, so after high school, I'm a 1.8 GPA kid. I don't know what I want to do. I love math, and I love people, and I'm curious.
I'll tell you what I love. I love hooking you guys up with epic deals. I also love looking great and doing the right thing by the environment. And that is what Outer Known is all about. These are the clothes that I'm wearing right now from the company that was started by the GOAT of surfing, Kelly Slater. And get a load of the deal that they have for my friends and listeners. You've got these clothes, and you can get a full 25% off your whole order. That's not just your first order, that's how you get it. And why do you want to do that? Because not only are the clothes incredibly stylish, they're made from organic and recycled materials in fair trade factories around the world, meaning that they do not exploit people. There's no an unloving thing about the company. It's just awesome, stylish, good for the environment, and they treat people well. And again, you can get 25% off if you go to outerknown.com/Stevo and use the promo code Stevo. That's outerknown.com/Stevo and use the promo code Stevo to get a full 25% off your order. And I love it. I love Kelly Slater. I love Outer Known, and I love you. Now let's get back to it.
But I don't know what to do, how to monetize that skill set. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the Army. I went to the Army. I was a Hummer mechanic. I lived in Columbia, South Carolina for 9 months.
This was when you were in the Army.
Yeah. And they had never met Iranians like me. They've never seen a guy with this size nose and ears, big features. I look intimidating when my hair is bald, when I'm shaving it. And I went to Kentucky, Tennessee, and I lived there for 2 years, had a phenomenal time. Then moved back to LA. When I started a company, I moved my company to Dallas around 2015, 2016. Lived in Dallas for 5 years, Plano area, Preston Hollow, 2 houses. And then we came here 3 years ago, and we're in love.
Yeah.
But not like you, man. You've been like, you guys, to you, this is like elementary stuff.
You know, when he was 3.5 years old, he got a deportation notice from the U.S. government. And I still have a copy of the letter that we received.
3.5 years old.
Because we were living in Venezuela.
Yeah.
His mother was a Canadian. I was dual national. We didn't think about any problems coming back to the U.S. His older sister was born in Connecticut. So we just had Steve and the dog and a bunch of suitcases and flew up to Connecticut and forgot to register him because he didn't have American citizenship. He was born in the UK.
And the president was Jimmy Carter at the time. Because this is late 70s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So mother,
which makes sense. So,
mother called in
yeah.
distress. They're going to deport Steve. Yeah. The
Yeah.
company lawyers handled it in about 2
You
days.
should frame that. That's pretty, I mean, I know you guys have interesting stickers here. All this stuff makes sense when I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, this makes sense to me.
So I saw that that your time in the U.S. military was 1996 to 1999.
97 April to 99.
So you weren't deployed anywhere.
Nothing was going on. The only thing we had going on was Kosovo, Bosnia, and there was a flooding going on in Honduras. Aside from that, nothing was going on at that time.
Safe time to be in the military.
Great. It was a great time to be in the military.
And then you go back.
Mm-hmm.
You said you started your first business was the PHP home run.
Well, no, I would say the first one in Germany, I fell in love with this Czechoslovakian girl, okay? Her name was Katarina Staff.
Okay, now you're 10 years old in
10
Germany.
years old. I'm in love with her brother passed away because of a brain aneurysm very early. Don't mean to change the meeting, but change the vibe. But at the time, he was alive. We were good friends. And he liked the new Super Mario Brothers 2 coming out.
Sure.
And I liked his sister. So I'm like, dude, I got to figure out a way to distract this guy so I can spend time with his sister. So we go to a local swimming pool in Germany in Erlangen. It had like 5 pools, big. Anybody watching this, if you're in Erlangen, you know which pool I'm talking about. And I went to the owner and I said, hey, there's beer, because Germans drink a lot of beer. I'm sure you know this. So I said, hey, what would you pay me if I cleaned up all these cans here and these beer bottles? They said, we'll give you 5 pennies for every bottle you bring in. The Super Mario Brothers was $249 at Kaufhof. 5,000 bottles later, a month later, I went and bought the Super Mario Brothers, brought it back. Everyone in the refugee camp was playing video games. I'm playing with Katarina. Literally. And by the way, we reconnected because we made a promise we would never marry anybody else, no matter where I go. When I left the refugee camp, we said we're going to find each other. She found me on Facebook 3 months after I proposed to my wife. And I said, babe, what do we do here, babe? What are you talking about? Anyway, so it was an interesting dynamic.
I was hoping that you were gonna say that you enlisted the brother to do the cleanup at the bottles. So that he was busy doing that.
He was an
while you were
older
playing.
brother. He was an older brother, and I was a younger brother. But
He said, "I got a great
yeah,
idea.
that
I
would
got
have
a
been.
way that we could buy this thing.
Back then, I was
you
just
go and clean up the bottles.
I was a solopreneur. I wasn't yet a guy that understood leveraging other people's time. I did later on, but at that time it was just me. But yeah,
Right.
so after that, if you're asking PHP, so I.
But that PHP was the next business after the bottle cleanup?
No, so I go after the Army. When I get out, I want to be a bodybuilder. So I go to Mr. Olympia thinking I'm going to go into competing because I wanted to be the next Arnold. I was going to be a governor, marry Kennedy, go in Hollywood, be an actor. And I'm like, I meet a girl named Janvier at Venice Beach, California. The whole Venice Strip when you're walking and all the crazy people are dying. I meet her there. We hit it off. She's an advisor at Morgan Stanley. She was managing some of the Laker players. We go on a date. And I said, how do you always have these nice cars? You pick me up. And she would pick me up. That's how broke I was. And I said, I want to make your kind of money. She says, well, I'm in the financial industry. Wow. I said, how do I get a job at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter? She says, you need a degree because she went to UCLA. So I'm not going to school. Anyway, so I applied. I sent 100 resumes out and fax back then to everybody. I thought Goldman Sachs was going to hire me. Goldman Sachs would never hire a guy like me. But eventually I got a job with Morgan. So then I went to Transamerica World Financial. I was there for 7.5 years. And did very well. And then in September of 2009, 3 months after I got married, I started our own insurance company, high volume recruiting, specific to insurance and annuities. Grew it from 66 agents. Today we've licensed 50,000 insurance agents nationwide. And I sold the company probably 20 months ago to our partner Integrity, and Silver Lake is where the money came from. And now we're here.
Is that sale what allowed you to make the purchase of the Yankees?
I could have made it before, but I would have had to spend a lot of my cash, where now it was a lot easier, obviously, because it was a nice exit. It was a multi nine-figure exit. So when you have that kind of an exit, it's life-changing. I mean, you make millions, it's great. You make tens of millions, it's phenomenal. When you make hundreds of millions, very weird. It's different. I remember when my wife and I were selling a company, we're having breakfast in this place in Monaco. We haven't sold it yet. And I said, babe, you realize in about a week, life's about to change. She's like, well, what do you mean, babe? I said, babe, when people find out what kind of money you got, you're going to find a lot of new relatives. And they're going to call, and they will. And she says, I don't know, babe. I said, babe, just be patient. They're going to call. Trust me. So I said, let's just keep it as low-key as possible. And then, at this point, it's not. But yeah.
So a home run indeed. And I saw on your thing your pinned post on Instagram talking about how when people have success, you make money, you can tell a lot about if the money makes them content and they relax, or if they're still hungry and they're still hustling. To be bringing in 9 figures and still have the motivation to be doing a daily podcast. You do 3 podcasts a week?
So today is Sean O'Malley. Tomorrow's home team. Wednesday is Andy Stumpf, the Navy SEAL. Thursday is home team. Friday, I'm hosting a live podcast at our comedy club, Cigar Lounge, which is a mile away here. We bought this building. It was like a GNC Life Extension building. We turned it into a comedy club and a cigar lounge, full-blown private cigar lounge. We're going to have Candace Owens and Chris Cuomo for the first time doing a live podcast with 200 people in attendance. And we'll be shooting the shit talking. So I try to do minimum twice a week. Sometimes we go 5 days and then we create some other content. But I'm running 9 companies right now, is what I'm running. Yeah. And you have to realize, for me, when you're going through it, there's a thing that's just you and versus you, right? Meaning, like, you know how when we're kids, you have your first girlfriend that you're holding hands and you're in school, you're like, oh, let me see, I'm cool now, everybody knows. And then it's like, okay. Then maybe she wasn't the hottest girl. Now you're dating the hottest girl and you can't wait to go show her off at a club. Like, I can't believe I landed a hot chick like this, right? That's pretty sick. And your friend's like, damn, she's hot. What is she doing? It's like, then now it's like, well, maybe there is something, and you see how you react to it. And then you get some cool points with your buddies. The same thing happens with life as well. You kind of are watching to see how you're going to handle success, fame, accolades, respect, all of that. And as much as we can act on the outside and act, humble or arrogant or cocky, whatever the way it is, no one knows more about how you react to these things than you. When you come home at night and you're like, okay, you say you think big, you say you're not going to slow down. Okay, Mr. I'm not going to slow down. What are you going to do now? Go on your bank account, go on your investment pro and check to see how much money you got now. Okay, damn. You going to get up tomorrow morning? Yeah. Oh, so this was real. That's when it hits you. Because till then, you're full of shit, right? You're just kind of selling a future truth. One day, we're going to be da-da-da-da-da. And then that day comes, oh, man, I'm retiring. I'm going to go to Bahamas and just chill. And by the way, some people can do that. I can't do that. Like right now, yesterday, we're at this, we become members of this country club. And I'm in the country club, and I'm asking myself, what the hell am I doing here? I'm not a country club guy. I don't golf, okay? I've been in the financial industry for 25 years, day before 9/11 is what, 01, 23 years, right? It's coming on 23 years. I've been invited to Masters, never gone. I went to Pebble Beach because I put a contest and I took my guys and I entertained them, but I'm your caddy. I'm not golfing, okay? I have the nicest clubs. I've had the most professional people train me on how to golf. I have no desire to golf. When I tell you no desire, so I'm sitting at the country club, I'm like watching all these guys. So what's your handicap? I'm like, dude, I don't like golf. I'm here because my wife wants the family to play tennis. That's why I'm here. And she also doesn't golf. So there is a part that you go through and then it's like, what do you really want to do? And if you can answer that question and you can tell, like when we watch you, it's very obvious that you're doing what you want to do. Maybe weird to the rest of us, maybe weird to the average person, but it's very obvious you're enjoying it, right? And brother, I got to tell you, when I tell you I love business, I love business.
This might come as a shock to some of you guys, but I really love business too. And I do all of my business online with Shopify. Now, whether or not you even have a business or whatever stage your business is in, Shopify is the way to get it done and to grow it. That's because the easiest way to build a website is with Shopify, and the most compatible website you can build with all different ways of doing business is Shopify. And they have an epic deal for you. You can try them out for just $1 per month. It doesn't get much more risk-free than that. And you can find out how easy it is to build a website from scratch, to incorporate all of the different elements of e-commerce into it, to grow the business that you have or start the business that you don't. And to get this risk-free $1 per month trial period going, you just go to shopify.com/Stevo. Shopify.com/Stevo. And I'm telling you, you just might love business just as much as me and Patrick Bet David. Give yourself that shot to get somewhere in the world with shopify.com/Stevo. That's all lowercase. Now let's get back to it. Yeah.
It's a game.
Absolutely. My dad, of course, had a very illustrious career as a corporate executive. My dad cautioned me at times, pointing to, and you can color this in when I get there, Dad. People who made their career, their job title, their identity, and then ultimately, once their career comes to an end and they're no longer the flashy title on their business card, then they have a really, really scary identity crisis. They no longer know where their purpose is. Their ego is so tied up in their job title, and their retirement is effectively miserable. Did I see that right?
Not so much partly the ego, but really the identity. I remember we were at a birthday party somewhere in Florida years ago. I don't know who invited us or how we got there, but I ended up in the corner talking to a guy who just moved down from New York area and was managing one of the top clubs. And the way he told it to me, he said, I see these guys that were so great, and they're broken people. They've lost their identities. At that time, we were living in Brazil, and I got a lot of invitations being head of Pepsi Brazil. And the light flashed
It's a big job, by the way.
Yeah, a good job. It was Pepsi was small in Brazil. Bigger jobs came later, but it was my first job running a business. And I remember thinking after I'd had the conversation with this guy at the birthday party, I don't want to take it for granted. I'm getting all these invitations and recognition, not because of who I am, but because of what I represent. And I never want to lose sight of that.
That, by the way, it's such a big point. Side note: do you still drink Pepsi or do you drink Coke today? Because that's what's most important out of everything we talk about today. Are you Team RC, Pepsi, or Coke?
Well, I'll tell you. I always ask for
Here
Pepsi.
we go. There's a disclaimer
I always
here.
ask for Pepsi, but I
Okay.
no longer fight with the server if they happen to be a Coke exclusive.
Did you at one point, like if
At
they
one
didn't have Pepsi,
point,
you would
at
only...
one point, Steve and his sister weren't allowed to drink Coke. If there was no
See, I respect
Pepsi in
that.
the premises, then they drank 7-Up.
Have you heard
something.
about the Michael Jordan story with his agent, the kind of shoes he had in the closet?
No.
You never heard this story?
No.
Have you heard this story? Freaking sick story. So this guy goes, and he just signs with Nike. And he goes into the agent's house, apartment, and I think it's the agent manager, somebody that's one of his core team, right? Mm-hmm. And he's in the apartment, and he's walking around, and the first place he goes to is in his closet. He goes into the guy's closet. He's like, why are you going in my closet? He says, well, why do you have Adidas and Converse while we are Nike? He said, bro, I just have shoes. He grabs the scissor, starts cutting up all the shoes that are not Nike. Next week sends him a box of Nike saying, moving forward, we only wear Nike. I actually like that. I respect that that idea of having that kind of a maniacal mindset at the time. But, going back to the question, the point you just made with your friend in Brazil when he became the president, when Pepsi maybe wasn't as big in Brazil, a guy on Minect is an app we just launched a year ago because a lawyer charged me. I had a 7-minute call with this lawyer a few years ago, and he bills me for 30 minutes. I'm like, why are you billing me for 30 minutes? It was a 7-minute call. He said, well, minutes roll up. I said, dude, they don't roll up to 30 minutes, maybe 7 to 10, so it's like if you're $800 an hour, 10-minute call, 800 divided by 6, bill me for that. He says, no, rolls up to 30 minutes. I said, one day I want to pay people like you by the minute. He says, I don't charge by the minute. So we launched Minect. Do you have a minute to connect? Let's Minect. We launched this app. We get a few 100,000 downloads. So guess what? If somebody wants to talk to Steve, he should no longer respond back on an Instagram because why am I responding back? His time is worth something. On Minect, he gets to say, I'll respond back on Minect in audio for $100. Or I'll respond in a video, $200. If you want to have a 15-minute call with me, $1,500. Great. So people are now paying for that, and you keep 80%, the talent keeps 20%. Anyways, so that's Minect, M-I-N-N-E-C-T. Now, a guy yesterday asked me a question on Minect. He says, Pat, I'm 45 years old. I've had a multi-8-figure exit, anywhere between 30 million to, let's just say, 90 million bucks. Life-changing type of money. He says, I bought the house I wanted to buy. I have all the cars I wanted to have. I got the crazy watches. I got the clothes. I'm going to the best dinners. I'm part of the best clubs. But I feel miserable. Miserable. Marriage didn't work out. It failed. Okay? He's alone by himself, all this stuff that's going on. He says, but my goal was I wanted to retire by whatever the age was, 45 years old. And I said, so let me tell you, I don't know if you know, I don't drink coffee. Last time I drank coffee, I was 25. I'm not a coffee person. Everyone in my family drinks coffee. I don't like coffee because I don't like stains. And when I gave one of my offices at coffee stain, drove me insane. So I said, moving forward, no more coffee. I ran a sales office. 20 coffees would be parked outside the office. I'm like, you can get a stain outside the office, but not in my office, right? I don't like stains. Anyways, so, and one day I'm giving a talk in Encino, California, on Victory and Balboa, right across the street from Birmingham High School. And I drank 2 cups of coffee that day. When I gave the speech that night, I'm like, dude, I cannot drink coffee. This is terrible for me, right? Anyways, so I know myself that eventually I'm probably going to drink coffee. And I said, I'll start drinking coffee at 40 when I need the energy. I still don't need it. I said, maybe I'll drink it at 50 because I actually love the smell of coffee. I think it's delicious, right? I just know I don't want to drink it right now. I knew I could never sell my insurance company unless if I knew what I was going to do the next 20 years. If I didn't know what I was going to do the next 20 years, I'm going to do something bad to myself. And I'm going to be what's the word when you're hurting yourself? Well, not necessarily a masochist, but somebody that's destroying everything that they have on their own.
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage is the word. Self-sabotage, because I knew I was going to destroy stuff, whatever it was, because I got too much time on my hands. So I said, I am not selling my insurance company until I know exactly what I'm doing the next 20 years. And that's exactly what I did. The content stuff we're doing, because I'm interviewing and I'm enjoying talking to people and I'm learning about different people we're interviewing. And then all of a sudden, a guy calls me one day, because I'm doing business content. My first 1 million subscribers were all around business content. How to raise money, how to do this, how to hire, how to fire, how to fire your first assistant, or how to office lease, 9 things to look at in your office lease. And I'm just doing stuff that I'm going through with the business, right? The issues that I'm going with. Found an audience. One day a guy calls and he says to Mario, sends an email saying, hey, I would like to hire Patrick in an engagement for consulting with our firm and our board. I'm like, I'm an insurance guy. What's this guy talking about? I said, Mario, just give him a number and see what he says. What number you have? I said, I don't know. Just say $5,000 an hour. He's probably going to say no. Okay, let me go back to the guy. Emails back. Well, it's $5,000 an hour for Patrick. The guy says, we'd like to book 3 hours. And I said, you bullshitting. He said, Pat, look at the email. I'm like, where do we even take the payment? I don't even know where to take the payment. If we send PayPal, it's too ghetto, so we have to be professional. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, who takes a PayPal payment? So I'm like, dude, we got to get something professional here. So anyways, we eventually did it. And then I said, maybe there's a market for it, right? So then I held my first meeting, and 400 people from 50 plus countries showed up in Dallas. It was called the Vault Conference, opening up the cracking the code to business. Mm-hmm. And we put a 200-page manual on every way I do things on my business, the things I do. And then that grew from $5,000 an hour to $40,000 an hour. And now I did a keynote last week at the chiropractor event in front of 4,000 chiropractors. Now it's 250,000 domestic, 500,000 international. And our consulting firm, now we manage 5,000 clients worldwide.
Wow.
Ranging from $10 million in top line revenue to $1 billion. So if you have an EBITDA and you want to sell, maybe you're not getting the best valuation, you're only getting 5 times EBITDA. Let's see what we can do to make it 15 times EBITDA. Let's see if we can make it tech enabled. Who do you need to hire? What's your C-suite executive look like? What's the variable comp? This stuff I had no clue about, right? So then I saw, post insurance company, I have a business. Forget about the amount of money you're going to get. I don't want to just take the money. I want to know exactly what I'm doing next 20 years, because I'm going to sabotage myself and ruin all the good things that I have. So once I saw I had that, great. Then I sold. And now today, I got 8 companies I'm running. I'm busy plenty where I know that story of, hey, look how famous and powerful and money I have, and what do I do now? I know myself. I know my flaws and my weaknesses. I cannot sit still without something else to pursue. So, but there are a lot of people go through that, and that's what this guy Manek was going through. I said, dude, never sell until you know what you're going to be doing the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm. I can't argue with that advice, but if I'm honest, I'm really not sure what I'm going to be doing in 10 to 15 years. But I can tell you just about exactly what I'll be doing in about 30 minutes after I take a Blue Chew tablet. I will be ushering my beautiful fiance into the bedroom so that we can be intimate. And when that happens, about 30 minutes after I take a Blue Chew, we are in for a really good time. Why? Because Blue Chew tablets have the same active ingredient as both Viagra and Cialis, except they only cost a fraction of the price. And for you, the listeners of the Wild Ride podcast, you could get an entire month's supply completely for free. All you pay is $5 for shipping if you go to bluechew.com and use the promo code STEVO. Here's how it works. You go to bluechew.com. You use the promo code STEVO. You consult very quickly with the medical provider on the website. Boom, you got your prescription, and an entire month's supply of Blue Chew tablets is on its way to you completely for free. All you pay is $5 for shipping. I mean, that remains one of the best deals that ever to be offered by the Wild Ride podcast. I encourage you to jump on that offer so that you can find out how much fun you might really have with Blue Chew tablets. So one more time, bluechew.com, use the promo code STEVO, and let's get back to it.
Because money alone is not going to make you happy.
Yeah, I think that for me, having a career in entertainment, I think that's what my dad was kind of getting at, is that maybe when you work in entertainment, you can't control how long your career lasts. And if everything comes to a screeching halt, like my dad didn't want that for me. So like he encouraged me, hobbies, get things going. And fortunately, my hobbies have been starting businesses. so that's been helpful.
And that's why eyes don't lie and you look very happy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what you're up to, like everything with your life, but I'm looking at your eyes. You seem so at peace and happy. Either you're a very good actor or you sincerely are very happy. And I think it's very hard to have the sincere look on your eyes of being happy. And you got it.
Well, thank you. I was actually saying on the way here that, that part of my plan for after a career in entertainment, I have no interest in having children. My fiance, neither does she. I got a vasectomy. And we decided that our lives in the future, we want to pour ourselves into helping animals. So we came up with the plan to buy a big property to start our own animal sanctuary. We waited until we got the property so that we could get married on the property, symbolically representing our future. And we bought this property in Tennessee in September of last year, and I've taken to marking calendar days. I put an X on the calendar every day that I'm there because I want to qualify as the Tennessee resident to not pay California state income tax.
181 days, right?
something like that. And I was telling the guys, since I started spending my time on this sprawling ranch in Tennessee, I've just completely relaxed. It takes a lot to get me bent out of shape. I think that
that's cool.
That just living on this ranch has worked absolute wonders for my mental health, and I believe that's what you see in my eyes.
Oh no, dude! Whatever it is, it's peace. And by the way, when is your fiance's birthday?
Her birthday is
May 18th.
May 18th of 1987.
She's May 18th. You're June 13th.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. Well, that's great because part of it is also what she's doing. Part of it is also what you're doing. Part of it is also you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and life was very hard at a certain period because there was so much turmoil in the life. And as a kid, you're like, dude, I can't wait for this shit to end.
Yeah.
I looked forward to Saturday NBA games. So the way I was able to tolerate the week was I knew Saturday and Sunday I'm going to go play at Artie White and I'm going to play baseball at Shoal Canyon and I'm going to watch an NBA game on Saturday, Sunday. That made me very happy. And that simple concept at 13 years old, 14 years old, applies when you're 45 years old. If we don't have something to look forward to, in animals, it's a part of looking forward to something, right?
Yeah.
Seeing them, contributing to society. But that's great to hear. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I look forward to UFC fights on Saturdays. Are you a fan?
Yes, we're going to be there. We're taking 35 of our guys there.
Wow.
Yeah, we love this. Is going to be a big fight, by the way. O'Malley,
big
Vera.
time.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you think we're here?
By the way, it's one. But it may be one of the better cars they've had in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of people saying that the 299 card is more explosive than the 300 card.
Yeah,
which is,
I know. And thank God he's doing it here because last year.
With Masvidal and George Burns or Gilbert
Did you see
Burns.
the numbers though last year when he was doing the press conference and Dana said the Miami event last year ended up being the biggest box ticket and attendance beating out Madison Square Garden.
The UFC has in Madison Square Garden the number one top grossing event, number 2, number 3, and number 4. I think they're 1 through 4.
Wow.
Every event the UFC does is the biggest gate that the
Well,
arena's ever
Dana
done.
is one of a kind.
They've sold out every single event, even if it was a regular fight night. For literally years, like Dana stopped even saying that.
He's
like,
one of a kind. Listen,
it's unbelievable.
When you find a commissioner like that, man, it is going to be hard for UFC to find somebody to do what he does, because he not only commands that level of respect, but he also understands the artist, which is the fighter.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand the fighter and you talk to them in a certain way that won't work, and you don't have the moral authority, it's not going to work. But also, if you don't have a clear vision of where you want to go with this, like, what are you doing it for? So Dana's a unique guy.
I mean, how much time do you think he has left in him? And do you think he's going to bring on Hunter or a fighter to run it?
I think it's Hunter Campbell who succeeds Dana, and I think he's got plenty of time left in him. What's Dana, 54, 55 right now?
Yeah, he's
healthier
somewhere
than he's been since he was in his 30s.
Right. Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking real good. So
yeah,
it's for him. You know, the biggest thing is that you can't lose while you're operating is the fire.
Yeah.
If you're losing the fire, and that fire is not like, I remember where this was, Steve Jobs talked about it, where, listen, when you wake up on any given day and you don't feel like doing your work for one day, it's okay. It's not a big deal. We all go through it. And I don't know what the timeline he put, but he's like, if you go for a week, if you go for a month, he says, but if you go for 6 months, you have to change something.
Yeah.
So if you go through a period, Dana, where for 6 months it's like, dude, you're gonna know it yourself, and you got to go find somebody to take that over. I just don't think it's gonna be right now, because he's on fire right now.
I think it's hard to imagine that Dana's had so much as like a part of a morning where he wasn't on fire.
Yeah.
It's yeah. The
I mean, we had a list of questions that I'm curious. I want to know where to take this. We
You
talk
tell me,
about
I'm here. Are
Okay,
you leaving
about
with
Bitcoin. Do we talk about real estate?
I just wanted to say something that I watched a piece of your appearance on Bill Maher's show.
Yeah.
And I found the way he spoke to you to be rather insulting. And I don't need you to respond to that. It's more of a comment than a question. But are you a guy who enjoys smoking marijuana or breathing in marijuana?
Marijuana is very good for me, but I don't smoke weed.
Okay.
And let me explain why. It goes back to the coffee thing. Anything that brings me here, it's better for the people around me. Because I'm always like this. So I'm sure the people that work with me would like for me to smoke weed every day, right? But I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I don't listen. If you're smoking weed, that's nothing for me. I'm not somebody that smokes weed. Every time I've enjoyed it, but man, I haven't done that for God knows mid to late 20s last time, so mid 20s. Yeah.
I bring that up because for me, I'm a clean and sober guy. Like, it's very important that I maintain my sobriety.
How long have you been?
Approaching 16 years.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I knew you had. I didn't know it was 16 years.
I'm about to be sweet
Good
16
for you,
coming
bro.
up on it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And there's nothing, like, really, there's nothing that I value more than my sobriety. There's nothing more that I protect than my recovery. And I found it kind of upsetting when the Bill Maher podcast, which I saw you on, reached out, and they his thing is he smokes pot the whole time while he interviews people, and I said, hey, I'd happily go on there, but could he, while I'm on, out of respect for my sobriety, could he refrain from smoking pot?
He said no.
He said no. That's a deal breaker.
Wow.
And Mike Tyson's podcast is called Hotboxing. Like, the whole point, like, be real. All of these prolific potheads, I've been on their shows, and it wasn't so important to them to blow marijuana smoke in my face.
I did not know that.
For Bill Maher, it was a deal breaker. And I found, and maybe that's why, whatever. You kind of see through the lens. So I watched you and the way you spoke to it. I could probably see him say the most innocuous thing and find it insulting.
You know. To me, you know how they say styles make fights.
Yeah.
You hear that phrase all the time,
sure.
right? So for me, I'm always again, the benefit of growing up with when one of your relatives is multi-personality, bipolar, and you never know what's going to show up on any given day. You know what you'll learn very quickly? You'll learn to call audibles very quickly and adjust to whoever you're. Maybe that helped me out with sales. Maybe that helped me out with recruiting people from different industries to become insurance agents. And it's a challenge because when I sat with them, I'm like, I have no idea where this is going to go.
Yeah.
No idea. And then I felt like 1 insult, 2 insults, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, okay. So this probably was booked by his book because his bookers loved me. Till today, they text me all the time, right?
Yeah.
And their booker said, Pat, we need someone like you with him because he needs to be challenged. Because his bookers are not necessarily same politically aligned with him. They're more true libertarians where they vote that way as well, versus Bill claims to be a libertarian, but an hour and 50 minutes into it, he just said, no, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, that's the woman I vote for. Okay, great, no problem. So I'm a more libertarian, independent, fiscally, I'm conservative, capitalist, all of that. And so when we started talking, I'm like, okay, so this wasn't a guest you booked that you wanted to talk to. Somebody else booked this. Because when you got bookers, like any guest I have on the podcast is people that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of one time I sat down with this guy who lived in space for 315 days and broke the record, whatever the time. You know who this person is. And, his brother's a senator in Arizona. So he comes down, he lands, celebration, world record. He lived in space. We have to do this interview. I'm like, how do you think it's going to blow up, tens of millions of views? Okay. We go do the interview. It's the shortest interview I ever done. I think it was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes I wrapped up. I'm like, we got out. It did 40,000 views, 50,000. You know why? I have zero interest for space.
Yeah.
Zero. So for me, I realized everybody I sit down with has to be somebody I want to talk to. So the mobsters I talk to is because I want to talk to them. If I talk to the bodybuilders, it's because I want to talk to them. If I spoke to the criminals, it's because I want to talk to them. If I spoke to the CIA politician, athlete, Kobe, because I want to talk to them. The higher the level of me being interested in the guest always resulted in more views for the podcast, right? So I don't know if Bill was interested in, it's like, so I hear you're rich. You can already tell it's not him. Somebody gave him a one-pager, hey, this guy's got this kind of money and all this stuff. And so then I said, okay, I'm going to take a different approach. He's not going to let me talk. Every time I talked, he'd cut me off. If you count the minutes spoken, 90% of the time, he spoke. I'm the guest on his podcast, but he spoke 90% of the time. So then I said, maybe this is his form of therapy. I'm being serious. Yeah. I said, if this is your form of therapy, I'll play the therapist. No problem. Let's go through. So I'll just ask questions, and I'll sit there and we go through. And by the way, you know what happened to this podcast? Do you know that podcast, out of everybody he's ever had, no podcast he's ever done got as many comments as the one with him and I.
Well, comments, and then people were doing their own YouTube
reaction
videos
to it,
on reactions to your,
approach.
And they started doing that, and then Jillian Michaels was on after you, and same
She
thing.
crushed it.
She crushed it.
Yeah.
And
So I think we're on the same page, and I saw that, and I had feelings. I felt. Your guess. How do you get Tom Brady? One thing that you're going to learn from this story is that you can achieve the seemingly impossible if you just go for it and have a strategy. And a lot of people think that it is impossible to quit a bad habit, but it's actually not if you go for it and you have a strategy. And that's where Fume comes into play. I always have it in my pocket. It is a diffusive device which flavors air. This is the way to replace a bad habit with a good habit. Drop the gnarly chemicals and just switch to flavored air. It's really, really good for you to drop bad habits and replace them with good ones. And I think you know what habit you should be dropping. So to get on this, you go to tryfume.com/Stevo. That's TRYFUM.com/Stevo. and use the promo code STEVO to get 10% off your journey pack. They call it a journey pack because this is the way you start a journey to a healthier, happier you. And man, ditching bad habits is what I'm about. So one more time, go to tryfume.com/Stevo and use the promo code Stevo to get on that journey with 10% off your journey pack. Tryfume.com/Stevo. Now let's get back to it. On your podcast.
So that's interesting. So Tom, this is an interesting step. It's the same way how we got Kobe. It's the same way how I got President Bush to attend one of our insurance conferences. So to me, let's just say you and I are in high school and you like Mary, this girl, okay? All right, but she is not fully aware of you or interested in you yet, right? The strategy is, there's many different strategies to take. If you just want to have fun with her, it's a different strategy. If you want her as a girlfriend, like a legit girlfriend, it's a different strategy. There's different strategies for this. And the one for wanting her to be your main squeeze, your girl, okay? We have to make a list of everybody that she trusts that has influence over her the most. Once we can identify those 3 to 5 names, we have to win them over. Once we win those 3 to 5 people over, then when you're there with any of those 3 to 5 being there, they're gonna be like, oh, frickin' Steve, I love him. Why aren't you guys going? Have you ever thought about Steve? Boom. Well, you think him and I totally see. I think you would love him. No. Yeah, of course. I never thought about it, Mom. I never thought about it, sister. Now, percentage of her going out and your job gets easier, right? So, okay, let's go back. I wanted to interview Kobe, and I started a small insurance company. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Kobe's born August 23rd, 1978. I'm October 1878, so we're 6 weeks apart. Kobe traded for Vlade Divac, comes to LA, Shaq, three-peat. I'm a Kobe guy, okay? So I end up at one of my smaller insurance conferences. First year of being around, we could only afford to bring James Worthy out. So I invite James Worthy. And guess what happens? Fully hit it off. It was an incredible meeting. And connection right off the bat. And then afterwards, we bring, there's a Laker event going on where you're able to come and get a tour. And Shaq is speaking. This is when Shaq was asked the question in an interview, hey, where's your son going to play in college? And Shaq says, he's going to play for LSU because he played for LSU. Why is he going to play for LSU? Do you remember what he said? He says, because LSU pays the most. Keep in mind, this is before NIL. Like nobody, he would never pump. Shaq just said LSU paid him. That movie about him, remember the Blue Chip? It was not a joke. It was a real, true story. Nick Nolte, the whole night. So I'm at that event. I'm a small timer. I don't create content. I'm just kind of like barely getting started, and our interviews are only for the insurance company to see. At that event, Shaq's there. Everyone's there. We're getting a tour. And then all of a sudden, James Worthy sees me. James like, yo, what's up, people? So now the Lakers are like, why is James talking to this guy like they're friends and he's so comfortable with them? So then we invited Magic next. Magic checked with James. Magic attended the event. Then we invited Kobe. Kobe came. That blew up. Kobe and I, we ended up having a very good relationship. Obviously heartbreaking when the event took place. We all remember where we were at, totally devastated. And then after Kobe, Shaq and I got into it. Shaq was not happy with the question I asked when I said, hey, Kobe, who would Shaq have been if he had your work ethic? He said he would have been the greatest of all time. He would have 12 rings together, right? Shaq was pissed. He DMs me, says, what a stupid-ass question to ask. Why don't you go run your small little company? And he blocked me. 2.5 years later, Shaq and I finally reconnect. I invite him to an event 2 years ago at MGM Grand Arena. We got 10,000 people in the room. And before we hit the stage together, Shaq's manager says, hey, I want to talk to Pat in the back, a guy named Adam, who's one of my guys that I book with. I go to the back, and Shaq says, that was still a stupid-ass question. I said, Shaq, that was a great question. Terrible question. Anyways, we do the event. It was a good time. Brady, Man in the Arena comes out. When Man in the Arena comes out, and my family, my kids are required to watch all these documentaries. Captain Jeter, Man in the Arena, Last Dance, Yogi Berra's documentary. Any of these things, you got to watch it because I want to get that fire in their belly, right? And sometimes these documentaries can do that for you. Anyways, we watch Man in the Arena, insane. I'm like, dude, I freaking want to interview this guy. So I get a hold of his good friend Ben, whom Tom trusts. And I got introduced to Ben through one of my associates, Tom, who is one of our guys that was on the podcast, good friend of mine. His wife is very close to us, Shonda. So he says, hey, Ben wants to talk to you. We get on the phone. I said, hey, Ben, I want to rent out Foxborough, and I want to bring 95 of my executives, sales executives, and I want us to watch Man in the Arena for 2 days. I would like to get a couple Patriots who have played with Tom to be there so we can ask him questions. And Ben said, I'd like to be included. I said, I want you to be there as well because he's going to give the business side of things. So we rent out Foxborough. I take my 95 executives there. We watch Man in the Arena. Every episode we watch, then we go to the field. It's a very unique feeling. And then I brought these two Patriots. One was the center, I want to say, or an offensive line, and another guy was one of the linebackers. One played in the first 10 years with Tom. The other played in the second 10 years of Tom. And anyways, they come. For 3 hours, we did Q&A. One of the guys followed my content as well, so it was very easy to have the conversation with them. Then from there, we invited Tom to our big event that we did at Diplomat. And he came down. We gave him a big painting. I don't know if you saw the painting we gave Tom. You ever saw the painting?
Nah.
You have to see his reaction. This painting we give him he's on there from when he was a kid. If you type in Tom Brady painting, I don't know if, there you go. Just go to images. Yeah, that's the painting. So see him standing right next to it. Go one more. I think that's the one. Yeah. So that's giving it to Tom, and it's him before. There's his picture, 199 draft, what he looked like right in the middle. And this was given to him, and we unveiled it in front of him, and he kept looking at it, getting emotional. Obviously, I respect the hell out of a guy that's willing to compete at this level for that many years.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole thing happened.
That's a very interesting philosophy. I like the story about how to get married.
There you go. Yes.
In your podcast, you've been talking about the catastrophic consequences if the Fed lowers the rates too quickly. And you said that the result would be an economic failing upward. Can't believe I got that from Scott.
Yeah.
Scott told me about
You
that.
gave a special 1 hour a video on that. And can you explain what that means?
Yeah, what does failing upward mean?
So the reverse market crash, right? Okay, so what is a reverse market crash? You know how that saying we always hear about, well, the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poor. Look what's going on to the middle class and middle America, and look what this the rich people are doing this. The rich people are not doing this. Here's how this thing works. Did you guys hear about what just came out this week with Panera Bread in California? Did you see that?
Yeah, they raised the minimum wage in California to $20, except for bakeries, which Gavin Newsom is a part of.
Which Gavin Newsom is a part of, and he's one of his biggest donors. The CEO is a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Who's at fault there? Is Panera at fault?
No.
Who's at fault? The politician that can be bought is at fault.
Yep.
Because he's playing politics. Any businessman, if he can get the laws to be in his favor, what's he going to do? He's going to hire a lobbyist, and if the laws are legal, all this stuff is legal. It's not like any of the stuff the Panera Bread guy did is illegal. It's not. It's legal, right? Okay. So you mean to tell me every other fast food joint with over 100 employees, I think that's the number. If you have a restaurant and you have over 100 employees, minimum wage is now $20 an hour. $20 an hour, the margins are already small. Now a Big Mac that's $1.99 or $2.99, you want me to pay $6 for a Big Mac? You know there's a place in America right now where Big Mac combo is $18.50. If you type in Big Mac combo, most expensive Big Mac combo like $18.50, see what comes up. It's ridiculous that somebody is, that right there, first story, New York Post. So Connecticut McDonald's branch slammed for charging $18 for a Big Mac meal. What are we talking about here, right? Okay, so going back to with the reverse market crash. Okay, so we had low interest rates with this whole, the longest economic expansion in the history of America, 128 months, awesome. That's terrible. Why? Because money was cheap for so long that some of the people that won should have never won. It's fake success.
Right.
It's fake money. Interest rates should never be that cheap. It just shouldn't be that cheap because it devalues everything, right? So interest rates being around at 6% and forcing the buyer to have to at least put 20% down on a house. I don't think 100% financing is good for American economy. I don't think it is. I think if down payment for a house is 10 or 20%, you're buying a $500,000 house, say you only have $100,000 down payment, you could go get $1 million house at 100% financing, so you put zero down. Instead, you have 100% down. The responsible thing to do is to do what? Only buy a $500,000 house, or even smaller, because you got to keep some cash for yourself for emergency. Okay, so we see what's going on with inflation. So Jerome Powell decides to increase the rates 7 or 8 times in a year. We've never increased the rates that quickly in that period, which means a lot of these commercial real estate properties around the country that are getting destroyed right now, they're getting slammed because you may have borrowed the money at a 3% rate, but now you have to be called and paid at a 6% rate. That 3% interest on however much money you borrowed, you're like, dude, I can't make this kind of payment right now. What the hell am I gonna do? So if right now inflation is where it's at and Jerome Powell is noticing it's not dropping as much as he was expecting, what most people don't realize right now is Jerome Powell may actually raise the interest rates in the month of May. If Jerome Powell raised the interest rates in the month of May, you're going to see how crazy it's going to be. A lot of people are not expecting that. Everybody's thinking, well, because in December they said, you know, the Fed is probably going to lower the rates in 2024 6 times. It was like, market went up. Then, no, they're probably going to lower the rates only 4 times. Oh, that's still good news. They're probably going to lower the rates in the month of April. Oh, that's awesome. May. That's awesome. And now it's like Jerome Powell comes out and says, wait, we were expecting inflation to slow down. It's not. You know, we may bump it up 1/4 basis point in the month of May. You know who that scares?
Is that why gold is performing the way it is right now?
Have you seen what Bitcoin hit? I'm not even a Bitcoin guy.
It's at like 67, 68 right now.
Where is it right now? Price of Bitcoin?
It's
$67,000 right now.
this is right. I made
We
a
told
decision
Steve
to
to
buy.
buy
I
14,
made a decision
16,
to buy
18.
Bitcoin when it was at 40, and my Charles Schwab account was it like I didn't have a checking account. I'm like, it won't let me use it to buy it, and so I didn't.
By the way, you and millions of others, right?
Yeah.
You are not alone.
Right.
So this is what a lot of people are like. Well, you know, it's going to go to 10,000. But the thing with Bitcoin is, every time it goes up like this, there's the people that pump and dump because it's still not fully regulated. So don't be surprised if that 67 becomes 35 again, and then goes to 120, and then drops to 73, and then goes to 280, and then drops to 99, then goes to 370. Like, that's Bitcoin. So it's a very, you know, volatile product. So going back to answering your question with this whole reverse market crash, if we lower the rates today, you know who that benefits? People like me. I'm all for it. Because my house I bought it for $20,400,000 3 years ago. Okay?
$20,400,000.
Am I saying it correctly? Yeah, $20,400,000 when I bought it, right? I bought it in June of 2021 is when I bought it, okay? So in our community now, Messi moves in. He lives right next to my house. It's an island, and it's a gated community, and it's armed, and everybody's got a gun. So it's like the safest. So now another very famous soccer player is moving in. You guys know who he is, but it's private, so I don't want to announce it. So he's moving in. So guess what? That house right now, I can easily sell it for a little over $40 million, right? By the way, if the rates go back down to 2.5% or 3%, I can sell that house for $55 million.
Yeah.
So guess who wants the rates to go back down? I'm going to get richer. The rich is going to get richer, and the gap gets wider and wider. We do not want this. If that happens, these guys are not going to be, they can't afford to buy $1 million house right now. The average guy's income hasn't increased 150% the last 4 years. But if I was buying a house for $1 million in Miami 4 years ago, now that things were 2.7 million, but if I was making 190 grand at the time and now I'm making 240, my income didn't go from 390 to 440. How the hell am I going to keep up with this? This is very dangerous if we play with fire like this. So one of the things I like about Jerome Powell, and I'll turn it over to you. I know you want to say something. One of the things I'll tell you here, why I like Jerome Powell, you know what I like about this guy? Neither Trump nor Biden likes him. And that's exactly who needs to be the guy running Fed.
Talk about the national debt. There's 34 trillion, adding 2 trillion a year. And while that's happening, the value of the dollar is in jeopardy. It's been strong.
No question.
But there's too much agitation. to replace it as a reserve currency. So where does that lead? And how does this country end up, not short term, but foreseeable term, with a soft landing in that scenario?
Short term or long term?
Any term.
Okay.
How will it end?
Let's go short term, midterm, long term.
Okay.
Okay. Short term, next 12 months. Midterm, 1 to 10 years. Long term, 10 plus years. How about we break it down that way?
Okay.
Okay. Game. So let's go through that. Short term, not going to feel nothing.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Agree.
Nothing. I mean,
Agree.
it's going to be like, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yep.
Let's print out another
Yeah.
whatever money. Okay.
Yep.
Midterm. So, do you guys collect baseball cards or no? Anybody here likes cards?
Sure.
Okay. Do you like? Okay. So years ago, if you can type in Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer BGS 9.5 $78,000. Okay, if you can type this in, BGS put 9.5. I think that's 19.5. Go to BGS. Go to no, just put a space between it. Go to space. Yeah, type in 9.5 and then put $78,000. I hope I'm right on this number here. One more zero. Okay, let's see what comes up. Yeah. Does it come up or not? No, go back. That's not the one. Go back to where you were at. So it's an older story. Anyway, so I'll find it here on my phone and I'll send it to you. So about 9 years ago, a Michael Jordan rookie card, maybe type in the same thing and put sells for $78,000. A Michael Jordan rookie card, 1986 Fleer, BGS 9.5, sells for $78,000.
Okay.
Okay. The market's like, holy shit, this thing sold for $78,000. That's amazing. But at the time, there were only a few BGS 9.5s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All of a sudden, the market got flooded with 10 BGS 9.5s, 20 BGS 9.5, 100 BGS 9.5s, 300 BGS 9.5s. I think today they probably have 500 Michael Jordan BGS 9.5s.
Mm-hmm.
Beckett Grading Service BGS 9.5, right? You can buy BGS 9.5 Michael Jordan today for probably $20,000 to $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but one of them sold for $78,000 10 years ago.
Yep.
8 years ago. Why? The market got flooded with cards.
Yep.
So the value of the cards went down.
Yep.
Okay. If we keep printing money the way we are, the value of money is going down because it just doesn't keep that value
Well,
anymore.
I agree with you.
But here's the problem. This is one of the things that you have to think about what Russia and China just did. Do you know recently, after we put 500 sanctions on Russia last week over Navalny, I don't know if you followed that part when we did that. So Russia is now gradually, they used to do majority of their stuff they did, they used US dollar.
Yep.
It went from 90%, 80 to 90% of the currency they used was the US dollar. Now it's down to 30%.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. And the other thing, the gold market, the gold price has been stable around $2,000 for several years with zero interest from institutions and private investors. It's all central bank buying. And much of the buying is Russia and China, and they're laying the groundwork.
Are you a gold person?
Yes.
Okay.
They're laying the groundwork to replace the U.S. dollar. So you've got a long-term, medium-term, call it, outlook where the value of the dollar is going to be at least challenged. It's probably going to go down. The cost of funding the national debt is going to go up, and it will go up not only because of the amount of the debt, but because there are going to be fewer people wanting to buy U.S. treasuries. And I just see at some point, a collapse because the middle people that you were talking about that aren't making tens of millions of dollars and they are getting beat by inflation, there's a breaking point where they won't take any more. I remember in South America, I had a boss from Argentina, and it was the middle of the Civil War in Argentina where Perón's second wife was trying and failing to run the country. And I said, Hector, when are the military going to step in and bring order? I'll never forget. He said the military will step in when things get so bad that the majority of the public will welcome them. Honestly, Pat, I see that as a believable scenario in this country.
I don't think you're wrong. So I'm a gold person as well. I have physical gold and I have gold in different kind of accounts, but
Yeah.
I'm a physical gold guy. Now, why do we buy life insurance? Because worst case scenario,
Yeah.
when you die, hopefully you leave some money behind, and your family's not stuck paying the taxes and all the other things, right? And no one ever had enough life insurance policy when they died.
Right.
Okay. Everybody has too much when they're alive.
Yeah.
No one has enough when you die.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just got to time it right. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way, right? So gold, you're also buying for Armageddon. You're not buying gold because you believe the future looks bright. It's not a future looks bright purchase. You buy gold because you're worried shit could hit the fan, right? That is
You buy it as insurance.
Of course,
because
same thing.
it's a currency.
Totally.
A
Yeah,
hedge
totally.
against inflation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's both of them, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
both of them. And are you a Bitcoin person or
No,
not yet? You're
no.
not. Okay.
Not ever.
Not ever. Okay, cool. I think, and you have to realize, if we put political party, if far right is gold,
Yeah.
far left is Bitcoin,
Yeah.
Dogecoin, all that
Yeah.
stuff, I'm probably a libertarian. I'm like right here.
Okay. Okay.
But I will tell you, Bitcoin is probably also going to be around. I don't think it's going to go away. Now, what the ETFs that these guys are putting their money into, what they're going to do to control it and regulate it, I don't know what level of regulation they're going to have. They're definitely not going to put themselves in a position to lose money. But to go back to your point on what you're saying with where we're at, this is the problem I have. My concern is the following. The direction we're going to right now in America, if we're not too careful, and a lot of this happened specifically the last 4 years. If you go to 2019, how many of the major debates were we having on vaccines? Not a lot. We were having it, but it wasn't like crazy. If you went to 2019, we talked politics, we would argue,
Yeah.
but we were not the way we are the last 4
No.
years, right? Something happened the last 4 years, and I think the people, there's a couple different ambitious types of people. There's the types of people that are ambitious that want to get their power through
Yep.
money.
Yep.
And so they go in capitalism and they get their power and fame from money.
Yep.
That's how they do it. And there's those people that are wanting to get their power and fame, but they want to get it through control. Okay? These control community hate this community. This is the freedom community. This is the control community. The control community is the person at DMV that can help you with your driver's license, but knows they have the power to make you wait 3 hours. That's the control community. And they make $17 an hour, and they don't give a shit if you're a billionaire. They're going to say, wait until we call your name, sir. And you can't say shit.
For sure.
Go write a negative review on Yelp. See who gives a shit. Nobody does on DMV.
Right.
You have to know how to deal with this community. They're very insecure. They're very conniving. They're very controlling. And we've given them too much power the last few years. And this community, you know how this community is? This community wants to go buy some land in Tennessee, and they just want to be left alone. They want to have their life. They want to be with their friends. They want to be with the people they love. And they're kind of like to each his own. And this community is not part of the to each his own community. This community is more like, no, to whatever you decide, I want to decide for you. And we've given them way, way too much leeway the last 4 years. And if we don't kind of bring it back down to common sense, shit could hit the fan in America very quickly. By the way, look what's going on right now. If you want to have a sex change for your 12-year-old son, move to California. I mean, serious with you. If you're living in California, your kids are going to school, and they're being asked to, and certain things are happening, they don't tell the parents about it. What does that parent have choice to do? Stay in California? No, you're probably going to go to Nevada, like Mark Wahlberg and many others went to. You're going to probably go to Tennessee, like a lot of people are going to go to. You're going to come to Florida, but then eventually these states are going to become so blue and so red that it's going to be a very weird dynamic. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, but I think that's the direction we're going.
Well, I think it's not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing.
And it is the direction that we're going. Because in addition to the future failure of the dollar and the unpayable and growing national debt and the inflation that's going to result from that, your point is yet another one, the political dysfunction.
You talked to Argentina. Look what Javier Milei did his first month. Second month, what happened to the SERP? What happened to the finances? How are they doing now when he said, no, we're getting rid of half this BS?
You know, I watch some of the South American news. And the thing that blew me away was in his first week, he devalued by 50%. And within 2 weeks of that, the parallel market rate was 20% more because the street figured it was a trend. And how he's going to succeed pegging the peso to the dollar, given the dollar is fragile, but the peso is an awful lot more fragile. I don't know how they're going to do that. But the other thing that my Argentinian boss said was that the most dangerous revolutionaries are college-educated kids who are unemployed or underemployed because they've got the brain power to organize and lead, many of them. They've got a chip in their shoulder because they ran up all this debt getting an education that didn't buy them anything other than the job flipping hamburgers. And they're pissed. And that is going to become increasingly acute. And I don't
but you know what's the easiest thing to do with that? Is who to blame. Whoever's got the biggest mic gets to manipulate them on who to blame.
Yeah, but Pat, it's not a question of blame. Look forward, not backward. And looking forward, what is the solution out of that?
Oh, no, I know that. Trust me, we're on the same page. All I'm saying is whoever controls the mic controls the influence. Look, let's go at the negotiating table. Okay? Here's a negotiating table. On this side, we have libertarians and Republicans. Okay? Let's put them on this side. On this side of the table negotiating, let's put Democrats, socialists, liberals, the left, they're on this side. On this side, let's also put the independents there, okay? Independents, libertarians, conservatives are on this side.
Then they're not independent.
What do you mean?
Independents are in the middle.
No, but I'm saying they're going that side, okay? And I'm putting them in the same camp. Look, just hear me out when I'm going with this negotiation, and then we can break apart and say I don't like the argument. Republican, libertarian, independent, left, liberal, socialist, Democrat, whatever we put them here. Okay. All right, look, guys, let's play draft pick. You get to pick and choose whatever institution you can have the most influence over. You know what, Republicans? You guys go first. Okay, we'll take the church. All right. So they have influence over the church, okay? Majority Christians, majority, Catholics, they're going to be conservative 60% of the time, let's just say, okay? All right, left, Democrat, socialists, who do you guys want? You guys took the church, small thinkers. Okay, we'll take mainstream media is who we'll take. Damn, we should have picked those guys.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, guys, who should we pick next? We're going to take military next. These guys are such idiots. All right, you take the military. We're going to take your kids, guys. High schools, K through 12, and universities. What do you mean? You know, today, for every one conservative professor in colleges, there's 13 liberal. Do you know today they took what money is being given to the Democratic and Republican Party K through 12 teachers? Do you know English teachers? For every dollar that's given to a political party, out of every dollar, 98 cents going to the Democratic Party, 2 cents is going to the Republican Party. The only one that was 87 cents to 13 cents was math. So you got now military and church, you got now what? Mainstream media, and you got, schools.
Yep.
Then they said, we had 5 other draft picks you guys didn't know about because you guys made a trade with us. We'll take the unions, it's ours, okay? We'll take the social media companies, virtual governments, they're ours. Don't worry, you can take your little Elon Musk. We're going to destroy his life and make sure the world knows he's a demon and he's a horrible guy. We'll demonize him plenty. Yeah. They have so much influence over some of the most powerful institutions, and we gave it up to them. They were brilliant when they took it, and these clowns here on this side, because there's so much about, to each his own, and they were being passive, and they're like, it's not a big deal. We're going to be okay because we're making the money. They lost. They have a monopoly now in influence. Now, here's a solution with this, on where we're going with this. What is going to happen to these guys, you know what's one of the dumbest mistakes they made on the left?
What?
Work from home and keep the kids at home. You don't need to go to, you can't go to school. You know what was a dumb move for them? Here's what it did. Do you know what is the only job that has not come back since COVID lockdown? Only one job profession that hasn't come back. Childcare professions. They haven't come back. They're still in a recession. Their numbers are down pre-pandemic era. They have not recovered. Hospitality has recovered. Hotels have recovered. Casinos have recovered. Childcare workers are dying right now. No one's hiring them, and they barely make $17 an hour.
Yeah.
Why are they not recovering? Because parents learned they didn't need schools, and they're homeschooling today. And by the way, the biggest union in America that has power is the Teachers Association, 3.2 million members. It's the biggest union in America. Do you know what would happen if people who are driven by freedom created a university leveraging AI that they can take me and have me teach 50 different courses on business and take my voice and the content I write, and they take my image, create a 60-minute course, do the same thing with you, do the same thing with others. Now we can scale that and charge nothing for kids. Now kids don't need to go to school. They can simply learn on how to learn any class based on the AI part. The unions are going to get crushed. So to me, where I'm going with this is they control the kids. They've won. They have a monopoly. These guys have been sitting down on the sidelines, and they're starting to realize you don't get your act together, you're going to lose for 40 years. By the way, in basketball, if you want to win a championship, game 7, how many games do you need to win? 4 out of 7, right? Okay. Do you know where this manipulation started? Obama's first term. So watch this. First term, he wins. 4 years, push the envelope. Second term, he wins, push the envelope. 2 wins. Next, shit. Hillary lost. Trump. Now the series is what? 2-1. Next game, Biden. Oh, damn, it's 3-1. They win this one, it's a mess. They got everything they wanted.
It's a mess anyway.
No, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. But, and by the way, I'm not, please don't take this personally. What year were you born?
Sorry?
What year were you born?
1943.
Okay, my dad's 42, 1942. He was born April of 42. You're March 29th, you
Yes.
said? March of
Yes.
29 of 43. Okay. So the level of optimism as we age also changes. The level of optimism as human nature changes. It's just natural. A kid that's 8 years old is way more optimistic than a 25-year-old guy that's been fired 2 times and his girl's broken up with him 3 times, right? That 8-year-old is more optimistic. I'm convinced in the fact that the right people are finding each other. Why is Steve-O here? What are we doing here? Why are you in my office here? How do we find, just think about how we found each other. How did this happen? How are we having this conversation? So you go to Dana, Tucker, Elon. How are all these people finding each other all of a sudden? Because everybody's realizing shit's getting real. And in life, you could be a tough guy at the bar walking around and bullying people, and you think you're the toughest guy until you realize the toughest guy was a guy in the corner that was quiet. He just wanted to be left alone. You just crossed the line. He's going to whoop your ass so bad. The optimists have woken up, and the optimists are finding the right armies and allies together to fight. I'm convinced from a level of being an optimist, it's going to be a generation of new heroes waking up that we've never seen before, and it's going to be exciting times.
You're ignoring the numbers.
No, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a data guy.
Okay, you're a data guy.
I am.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's get back
Sure.
to the national debt.
Yep.
The declining status of the dollar.
What? You forgot 2 things. There's the unfunded liabilities.
Well, that's
which
coming.
take
Yeah.
the-
Sorry, I forgot about the unfunded liabilities.
Right.
So instead of 34 trillion, it's more like 150 trillion.
Yeah. And you also neglected to mention that already the Saudi Arabia, the OPEC, they're trading oil.
Yeah,
and
yeah, no,
not
I
dollar.
I
They're
mentioned that.
taking Chinese yuan.
Real quick, are you guys good?
I'll say 15 more minutes. I'm enjoying this way too much right now. So I know, tell them to wait for me in a meeting, 15 minutes, and then Casa, just let them know I'll be there at 6:15.
Part is that you inform or.
Oh, let me text them right now.
No, I just don't see how all this is going to come together. And having lived in South America when Argentina was going down the tubes, there's not a lot of difference between America and Argentina. Both countries very, very rich in natural resources. Both countries highest level of education in the geographic area. Yeah. The difference is that in Argentina, they didn't have a reserve currency status so they could piss away all their money and have run away inflation, and they've replaced the currency at least 3 times in my memory. And America hasn't had to do that yet. But when you look at the gold holdings of the central banks, the obvious action by the Chinese, the Indians, the Russians, everybody.
You're talking about the BRICS?
Yeah, everybody who wants to knock down the dollar.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia selling oil for not dollars.
Yeah, and you get political dysfunctionality with no leadership on either party that's able to bring it out of that. I guess putting all that together and getting back to something you said earlier, having physical gold for safety is terrific. But supposing the shit really hits the fan, how do you transport a sufficiently large quantity of gold out of where it is now, unless you've already stashed it
You
somewhere?
sound like a Bitcoin guy now.
No,
Careful.
no.
Be very
That's
careful.
Bitcoin.
No.
Be very careful.
No. But the reason I don't like Bitcoin, I don't. The price.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know
but
you
that's
are.
their sale.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's the pitch of Bitcoin people, that you can't, exchange $10 million of gold on a plane, but you can't $10 million
and that's a very
Right.
legitimate question. My problem with Bitcoin is that a real currency doesn't fluctuate as much as Bitcoin has.
It'll stabilize once the halving happens and all these ETFs
you
get
got
involved.
all these ETFs that are causing inflation.
Let's go back to this. Let's go back to what you were talking about with Saudi, what they're doing, and hey, they're wanting to take the yuan and instead of the dollar, and they're transitioning to different places, and some people are trusting China and all this other stuff. Do you trust in the U.S. Constitution?
No.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, the main reason is that its usefulness has been outgrown. It was put together when you had 13 colonies, no electronic media, no income taxes, no campaigning was simple.
Question. Do you trust in our Supreme Court system, our Senate, our House, our legislative, our executive? Do you trust in the system we have set up?
No, I do not.
You do not. Okay,
No.
so let me unpack it for you.
He's also Canadian, too.
What happened today?
Wait, no, I got 3 nationalities.
Okay. So what happened today? What ruling came out today with Colorado?
Supreme
Court.
They kept Colorado on
Did you
the
see what
ballot
the
and
number was?
overturned the Colorado state.
But did you see what the number was?
Oh, wait. They put Trump back on the ballot for Colorado?
He was never officially off, and they had I believe it was unanimous or close to unanimous.
9-0 with 4 liberals on the Supreme Court.
And the analysis I heard
Yeah.
is that is the best thing in the world for the Democrats, because if it had gone the other way, there'd be huge political outcry, all kinds of problems.
Right, and I'm sure they spun that way to be able to say that it's the benefit to this, and it's great. You got to pay very close to the spinning stuff. No, so here's how I'm wired. Let me maybe give you my wiring on this concept. So I'm wired for being optimistic yet super paranoid. A guy wrote a book many years ago, a Hungarian businessman. I think he's Hungarian. His name is not Intel. It's the other guy. It could be Intel. Andy Grove. Okay.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called "Only the Paranoid Survive." Okay. And he's very right. Only the paranoids. I'm naturally paranoid. When I go to a restaurant, my back has to be against the wall. I have to see what everything's going on. I'm naturally paranoid. I lived in Iran. We were bombed on. I lived in the capital. We escaped. I'm naturally paranoid. And maybe that helps me out in business, because in business, you have to be naturally paranoid, especially when you're winning. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, we got this," and then boom.
Yeah, I
somebody
get it.
comes-
I get it.
So I think America, specifically this camp, stopped being paranoid. They became arrogant. They became cocky. They started counting their money. They said, "Oh, look how successful we are. We got this. It's not a problem. It's going to be all right. It's going to be good." Today, I'm talking to Sean O'Malley, and one of the questions I asked him on the style of how Khabib and those guys train and prepare for a fight, versus how Americans prepare for a fight. The way Dagestan and those guys prepare, they're maniacal. They don't have the partying and all this other stuff that these American people have, and they're going and trying this and trying that and smoking weed and then doing all this other stuff. I said, "Do you think that style is more effective than your style?" He says, "Well, I think my style is working, and I don't think I need to go to that style because life is about balance." I said, "Okay." Kobe Bryant, he didn't have balance. He was obsessed, right? Joe Frazier against Muhammad Ali. One of them said, "Every morning I woke up assuming that the other one woke up 30 minutes before I did." And that was a mindset of a paranoia. They lost it. They had a big-ass blind spot. Let me continue.
Okay.
Read a book called Barbarians to Bureaucrats.
Okay.
Barbarians
Yep.
to Bureaucrats.
Okay.
Lawrence Miller wrote it in the early 90s, maybe late 80s. And he says every society, every organization, every country starts off with the prophet, which is our founding fathers,
Yep.
visionary, Steve Jobs,
Yep.
prophet. Then you find the barbarian. I think we're going to do this one day. I'm going to go kill him and take over. Barbarian. Okay?
Yeah.
We're going to go get this market and I'm going to go da-da-da. Okay, great. Sometimes they're both. Like Steve Jobs was a prophet and a barbarian, right?
Yep.
So you have the prophet, you have the barbarian. After the barbarian, you recruit the builders and the explorers. And they're kind of like you. And they'll say, what if we go and build something in Brazil and explore? You know what? Yeah, I think we should do that. We think there's a market we're not taking care of over there. That could bring us another whatever revenue per year.
Yeah.
So prophet, barbarian attracts the builder and the explorer. And then builder and the explorer, when they're going there, they break a few things. And they kind of need documentation and paperwork. So they attract the administrator.
Okay.
And they start doing the paperwork stuff.
Okay.
And then unfortunately, what comes after the administrator are the bureaucrats and aristocrats. In this moment, if you're not too careful, the entire thing collapses and it falls. America today is at the bureaucrats and aristocrats phase. Scariest phase to be in.
There's a
Because-
bigger problem than that.
I understand it, but in this phase, when we get to this point, guess what they're doing? They're spending the money and they're so we can afford it. But they don't know how hard these guys worked, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the book, he explains something. And here's the part that I think you're missing. And I think this message is a very dangerous message you're giving. And I'll give it to you why. On my opinion, I could
Okay.
be wrong. You guys can challenge me as much as you want. He says the last hope for that society, that institution, that organization, is a synergist. When you can get a synergist that comes in and is able to talk to everybody and sit them down. You're not going to win everybody over, but if the synergist is able to bring everybody together
Yeah.
and talk, that is the only hope you have to make something work. I am banking on synergists being able to fight for America. That's what I'm banking on, while staying paranoid, because if I don't, same thing's going to happen that happened to these guys.
I happen to think you're right about that, the synergist. I think it's somewhat of a long shot. And a huge problem of America we haven't talked about yet is the disappearance of the work ethic. I mean, people, too much entitlement. You know, my kids have to have a better life than I've had, and yet that's no longer possible. And if you have all of the problems we've discussed up until now, and you also don't have the work ethic to build the foundation or strengthen the foundation, there's not too much for the synergist to work with.
You're 1943.
And you know what? That's why I'm an optimist.
You don't sound like an optimist to me.
No, because you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm 80 years old, and I'm going to enjoy the good times, and when it comes to
Right.
an end, it comes to an end.
I totally get it. And,
81.
And by the way, you know how you can tell. The other day I had Eric Prince on. You know Eric Prince, the Blackwater founder. I don't know if you know Blackwater.
No.
Had all these trouble. You guys know Blackwater. Trust me. If you type in Blackwater and you see who this guy is, these are the guys that are getting the $600 million CIA contract. They were the PMC, private military contractors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Blackwater.
You know who
Yes.
it is. Trust me, you know who it is. Yeah.
Halliburton.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this guy got 2.1 billion from the government. Not a lot of people trust this guy, but he was super necessary because he's going up against the U.S. government and he's kind of giving them a run for their money, right?
Yep.
So I said, how many kids do you have? Because I read that you have 12 kids. He says, well, 7 are mine, 5 is, who I married into, so we have 12 kids.
Yep.
I said, you know how to judge anybody who believes the future looks bright? He says, how? If you have kids. Now, he's got none, so he may be worried.
He's doomsday prepping.
The apple doesn't fall apart.
But the point I'm making to you is I have 4 kids.
Yep.
And I would have 20 kids today. Okay?
Yeah.
Can you afford it though?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
And we're both 45, and the last one was very tough on the wife that we both made a decision we're just not going to do it. And so, but to me, I think we have to be very careful with the language we speak because, okay, so in Iran is in a shitty situation since the Shah fell.
Yep.
Very bad.
Yep.
But do you know why it's bad? Let's unpack that why it's bad. Yes, the Khomeini came over and Khamenei and Hezbollahs and yeah, they took all the money and they've stolen money from the people and they've done all this shit. And the Khameneis, if you type in Khamenei family net worth, some say they're the richest people in the world. Whatever, I mean, they got oil and you got a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Khamenei is a very traditional American last name, so you should have an easy time spelling it.
Is it
and he
falling
does
apart?
not.
No, there's no
Type
way he
in
knows
Khamenei
that.
is
Khomenei.
Khamenei, N-E-I. Khamenei. Easy last name, bro. You should be able to get that. What does it say? Zoom in a little bit. There it is. A 6-month investigation by Reuters has said that the Khamenei controls an empire worth approximately $95 billion. Okay? All right. But why is Iran really in the shitty situation they're in? Here's why. What do they fear? What does the Hezbollahs and the Khameneis and those guys fear? They fear women. They fear the youth. They fear sanctions. They fear the media. They fear that, right?
Yep.
But now watch this. Watch this. Do you know what needs to happen for Iran to be free again? It's a scary thing. In order for Iran to be free again, the kids need to revolt.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this. Say, I'm your son. Say your son.
Yeah.
Let's make it even easier. He's 18 years old. And there's ruckus going on in the streets and kids are revolting against the Iranian government. You're the father. You're 44 years old. 18 years old. He's your oldest son. And he says, Dad, I'm going to go fight for this, Dad. What are most parents going to tell their kids? Son, don't do it. Don't get involved. You could get killed. Don't get involved. You're going to get killed.
Yep.
That language is a natural language by any father telling their sons, don't go fight. That's why Iran's going to stay the way it is. Because when we speak a certain language, and if we don't give the hope and the possibility that we can restore this, then you're not inspiring the next generation to want to fight that fight. All I'm saying is my only perspective is it's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging, it's very dark. There's many different ways to assassinate today without having to physically kill you, and they're doing it. They're showing it right now. DOJ, the Department of Justice, all the shit that they're using. But what Hitler feared was Christians. What Hitler feared was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. What Hitler feared was anybody and everybody who had faith in a higher power and who had hope.
Yep.
And I'm a man of faith, and I have hope. And the more people can lean on that, the enemy hates that. They are afraid of it. And all I'm doing is my messaging is for whoever that's watching this. I did not expect this kind of a podcast here, by the way. I'm not even kidding with you. I came in, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. My dad's here. All right, great. But I'm being serious with you. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. But my hope is the men and women of faith who have hope are going to find each other. They're going to wake up, and those are the scariest opponents to go up against.
Pat, they always do. It just takes a while sometimes.
I know.
And I remember I had a memorable dinner in Geneva years ago. The wife of the Pepsi-Cola bottler in Tehran was passing through Geneva from South America. Her daughter, I think, had been in a motorcycle accident in Chile, and she had chartered 747 just for herself and the daughter to fly back. They stopped in Geneva. We had a company dinner. I'll never forget what she said. She said, motorcycles are so dangerous. When our boys, twin boys, turned 12, we gave them Harley Davidsons, but we set a rule that they could only drive the Harley Davidsons inside the house. They called it the Pink Palace. It was a house modeled after the Versailles Palace en route from the airport into the city. And when you got that kind of shit going on, it's going to get people more pissed off, and it's going to accelerate the cohesion, because at some point, life is so bad, rolling the dice for a possibility of getting better is worth it.
No question about it. Are you kidding me? No question about it. And America, hands down, the greatest country in the world, what these people built, where a guy like me is from Iran, who can come here and be able to build a life, and look how many other people are doing that. There's not a country like this out there, and no matter whether it's somebody that's got a job that they're making $15 an hour, making 50 grand a year, making 100 grand a year, $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, a billionaire. If you sit on the sideline and you don't do something to defend it, you're part of the problem as well. And I just have a hard time doing that. For me, in March of 2009, my wife will tell you, if one of these days we'll break bread. Next time you come and tell me, we'll do dinner at the house. I'm really enjoying this with no camera on, and we can just kind of even go deeper with this. But, in 2008 is when my temper was the worst. I was not happy. I had found my wife. I had found my industry. I had made money.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was going to do for 20 years. But I knew money alone didn't drive me.
Yep.
And in 2008, I invited a handful of my mentors, a pastor, another man named Bill. I invited all these guys. I said, guys, I got to find something that's going to drive me because money doesn't excite me. I know I need billions to do what I want to do, but I'm not getting the billions because I want to just buy a bunch of cars and stuff like that. My fire is coming from a different place. So they take me to different places. Am I supposed to be a pastor? Pastor's like, you're definitely not supposed to be a pastor. I'm like, okay, that's good. Am I supposed to do something? So eventually this one guy takes me to this event where George Will speaks at Miramar Hotel Santa Monica. And John Voight is there. I think, all these other guys are there. And Pat Boone is there, not John Voight. Pat Boone was at this one. And they're speaking. And they said, lawyers are ruining America, and here's why. This parent here sued the fish hook company because the kid swallowed it, and because it didn't have a warning sign, don't swallow it, they put that business company out of business. Look at the percentage of, local parks that are being shut down because lawyers are sitting by the parks, and they're seeing kids falling. They're suing the city for $500,000, and finally cities are saying, we can't afford these lawsuits, shut down, so that's why obesity. And he's kind of going through this whole presentation with data. I'm like, so afterwards he comes, he says, my guy says, hey, Patrick here is a 29-year-old young man. He wants to find a purpose, and he doesn't know what it is. What do you think he should do? So where are you from, kid? I said, I'm from Iran. Mother was a communist. Dad was an imperialist, da-da-da-da-da. So why don't you go study why everybody comes to America for the American dream? Why there's no other thing as the American dream? Why is there not such a thing as Russian dream and all this stuff? I come back. I literally get obsessed. When I tell you obsessed, I mean I'm obsessed.
Okay.
So this is March of 2009.
Uh-huh.
A week later, I proposed to my wife. 3 months later, I married my wife, June 26th of 2009. 3 weeks after that, I put an event together at JW Marriott, Palm Desert, called Saving America, Doing the Impossible.
Yep.
I'm dressed, if you type in Patrick Bet-David, George Washington, I'm dressed as George Washington.
Uh-huh.
My wife is dressed as Lady Liberty. I got a 40-foot Mount Rushmore on the stage, 40 American flags right there to the left. That's me in 2009, by the way. What's the date? July 17th of 2009, right? And we announced our mission statement was saving America by bringing back the free enterprise system and hope to American families. This is July 17th of 2009.
Okay.
3 months later, I start my own insurance company. 2 months later, I start my own insurance company. The rest is history. The reason why I tell this story to you is because there's levels to contribution to society. If you're a good citizen, you have a job,
Yep.
taxpayers don't need to save you on every single problem that you have, you make your own money, you take care of your wife, you take care of your kids, you pay your bills, guess what? You're net positive to society,
Yep.
right? If you create jobs, you're a slightly higher net positive to society, et cetera, as we go up. But then there comes a level where if you've done all of these things, whether you read the Kennedy's book or the Bush's book, after you make your money, you take care of your kids and your wife, you have to figure out a way to contribute back to the society that gave you this life. You can do it through church, through charity, or through politics. Pick and choose your medicine. I think we have a duty to do that.
Any combination thereof, too.
By the way, whatever you want to do, you can be a silent contributor to a charity.
Yeah.
You can be somebody that's doing politics. You can be going and volunteering at a church. But I think that last part, that both the Kennedy family legacy has and the Bush family legacy has, I think we're kind of this community. I think we need to get that oomph back again, and I think we're having it. But I think that's my messaging. That's what I'm speaking about,
Like
and
the
it's
Carnegie.
resonating with some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carnegie said the first third of your life is for making mistakes. The second third of your life is for making money. And the final third of your life is for giving that money away.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
committed. The libraries, the book, all the stuff that they
Carnegie Hall,
Carnegie Hall,
universities.
Scott taught me that.
I used to have a different saying. You know, the first part of your life.
You're like more the first third. Try to hook up with as many girls as
No.
possible. No.
Speak for yourself.
That was me.
No. Achieve the standard of living that you want. Second level, accumulate enough that that standard of living is secure forever. Then after that, at least my thought, is that people go on for power, and the power that mega wealth, can contribute. And that's great if you can pull it off. But if you have other interests, if you have the ability to be entertained and happy and social without going on that power trip, I think you probably have a more secure future.
Don't disagree, but if it's based on freedom and you're able to contribute and God's given you certain gifts to fight and you don't use those gifts, I think it's an insult.
Pat, I'm a citizen of 3 countries. I was born in the U.S. when Dad was overseas in the Civil War. I grew up in Canada. I lived 28 years in London and qualified for British passport. Being a citizen of 3 countries and having lived roughly equal amounts of time in each one, it is impossible for me to feel a strong loyalty to any one of the 3.
I get that.
The plus is I can look more dispassionately at the pluses and the minuses of each.
How often is he on the podcast?
Not often.
This is his 3rd time out of 200 episodes.
By the way, I love that though.
Yeah.
I love that because, and I'll tell you why. You have to try to extract as much wisdom out of him as possible.
He's on a mission to.
And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying it from a standpoint because to have that experience as a businessman and an executive, that's sick to have that. So, this, by the way, that doesn't mean you can't be wrong at times.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but all I'm saying is, when you're speaking that way, the difference with me, I was a citizen in Iran.
Yeah.
I was a refugee in Germany.
Yeah.
And then I came here
Yeah.
to America. And for me, one time when I was doing this show, this lady introduced me as, here's Patrick Bet-David, born in Iran, made in America. I'm like, what a great way of introducing. And that's the profile on Twitter. I didn't come up with that. She said this.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right. So I feel the last part of the responsibility for those who have pride and who are living here, who have been positively impacted by this country, I think they need to do that.
I understand
that's
that,
my-
and I truly respect that. You are in a relatively small minority of people who can do that at a meaningful level. I mean, yeah, somebody can.
I don't think it's just money, though.
No, it's not. It's
don't think it's just
time.
money.
It's time.
I think
It's
it's
mentorship.
megaphone, it's mic, it's perspective, it's challenging the status quo, it's giving a different POV, it's writing books, it's writing articles, it's sharing content. I think there's different ways of doing it. But
Before we go, who is the synergizer that you talk about? Because you're kind of alluding to somebody, but
it's
No,
not
no,
one
it's-
person.
it's
I'm just saying anybody. It could
anybody.
be you, it could be me, it
Just
could be
anybody.
us. Oh, no, it's not a
It's a
not
role.
single.
It's a
No,
role.
if you're thinking I'm going Trump or anything, that's not where I'm going. I'm saying a synergizer is,
well, we need somebody to synergize both parties, and that's got to be somebody big enough to do that.
I agree.
I think that I heard it as synergizers. There's
By the way, in family this happens. Siblings. One person brings the siblings together. The 2 brothers don't want to be together. The sister brings them together. That's a synergist.
It's like a blue ocean strategy.
Derek
type.
Fisher was a synergist on the Lakers, on the football team. Remember when the Red Sox made a comeback against the Yankees, that 2003, the documentary they did on 30 for 30? I don't know if you guys are sports people or not.
Right.
You're not. So in that, there was a player that did that. He's a synergist. He was a second baseman. He wasn't the best player on the team. This doesn't require to be an alpha, the richest. Not at all. It just, we all can contribute in our own way.
But you need, I think you need to have leadership capability of some kind.
For sure.
I mean, if you go to church and you sit in the back row one day a week, that's not going to do it.
I think you can contribute if you don't have that, but you're able to invite a person a week to church, and that's how you're getting people to have more faith. You're still contributing. There's levels.
Yeah.
I never wanted this, like when we build the insurance company, some of us, okay, So, a professor from Cornell University said the problem with capitalists and socialism, one wants to only pump up the collective, socialist.
Yeah.
It's about the collective and forget about the individual. And the other guy just wants to recognize the individual and forget about the collective.
Yep.
The job is who's contributing. So if I'm running an insurance office and I'm like, Mary, how many policies did you write last month? 2. Let me tell you guys why that's such a big deal. Do you guys know Mary's a single mother of 3, all her kids are under 18 years old, and she's got 2 jobs, and she still found a time to sell 2 policies last
Fantastic.
month for family. I am so proud of you.
Fantastic.
She would cry and she's like, really?
Yeah.
I just wrote 2. That guy wrote 88. But I'm so freaking proud of you. I think that part we have to be doing.
Yes.
We all can contribute it in our own way.
And that is being driven away by social media and materialism.
Don't disagree with you. My messaging is hero making machine, and we got to fix that because it's a problem right now.
All
It's a
right.
big problem right now.
So there is hope. Shut up, Dad. There's hope. Take
Hey,
your,
look, I'm very hopeful.
What
that-
a freaking podcast! Like they asked me, how was that? I'm like, dude, it's exactly what you don't think it's gonna be. I was not expecting this. I had a freaking blast with you guys. This is
man.
sick.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
How
you.
cool was this?
Well, we're gonna see you
Let's,
at
uh,
UFC 299.
I look forward to it, man,
Yeah.
for sure.
Let's cut that what he said just then and put it at the beginning.
This is the craziest shit ever.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's been a
Brother,
pleasure,
are
man.
you kidding me? No,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. There you have it, folks. I believe that was one of the more enjoyable experiences that a guest has ever had. I mean, he was raving about it. He was raving about it to his audience. So if you came here from Patrick Bet David's audience, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you stick around for more. And speaking of sticking around, the fact that you're here at the very end of the episode makes you the most important person on the internet. Yeah, dude. I love it. I love you. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end. And thank you for enjoying the show. All right.